Then you have the largest company in America, Exxon. They run ads in Wall Street Journal, big double wides, and here's one paragraph set out. We need to understand, they said, that we can never be energy independent, that we can't. Now, they further say on the second page of that double wide that we want to be energy secure. But attaining energy security, they say, is that the world would also have energy security. And we are all operating, the world is, with a pool of oil that we will share in, and we will all be energy secure. Read that 3 times, and I said, what the hell is this? Where did they got that out of the UN? Is where that came from. This will all work. We'll just work together. That isn't going to work. I can tell you that's the people that have the oil, and those that don't are got to figure out something different than what we're doing. But we do have resources in this country. How many here have gone on the website, on the Pickens Plan website? Good. Why didn't you go? Never mind. But that people, what happened when we did our polling and focus group work, that we found that the American people don't believe that Washington politicians are telling them the truth about energy. Does that surprise you? A whole bunch of other things they didn't think they were telling the truth on. We were trying to focus on energy, but they kept listing off a lot of other things that they were being lied to about. But I don't think the politicians lied to them. The politicians really did not understand it. And so here you were for 40 years, no plan. Now a plan shows up. On the 7th of July, the day before we launched, I told our guys, I said, I've thought through this, and I said that this is like a deck of cards, 53 cards, counting the Joker, and they've been put on the table, and I've removed the winning hand. They said, what do you mean? I said, there's not a winning hand left in the deck. They can't find a winning hand. They said, why not? And I said, I removed the trump card, being natural gas. You cannot get to the conclusion that we can reduce foreign oil in quantities that are meaningful without using natural gas. And natural gas would be used for heavy-duty transportation, 18-wheelers. Now, everything I tell you, I have a model for. R&D for an 80-year-old, it's a little far out there, and I can't wait around to run an R&D to get me an answer. I've got to have me something that I know that I can point to and say, well, here it is, you can do this, and it'll get you this, and all of this will work. Well, okay, so we identified the problem. The main problem is security. In December, we imported 66.5% of our oil that we used, and it was 392 barrels for the month, and the cost of it was $23 billion. If you remember when I started in 2008, I said that at $140 a barrel, we're paying $700 billion for oil annually. Of course, the price has dropped, and so it's about 1/3 of that now. But we still are importing basically the same amount of oil every month as we did at $140 as we would at $40. So the security issue does not change. It's there. The only thing that changes, the price fluctuates. And when the price goes down, people are kind of pulled off of it and focus on something else. So here, the security issue is number one. 2 is the cost. And it's the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of mankind, whether it's $40 a barrel or $140 a barrel. And if you look at OPEC 5 years ago, their revenues were $250 billion. In 2008, their revenues were $1,250 billion. Now, they have told you that they have a finite resource numerous times, and that they have generations to protect in the future. Somebody said, what do you think they're saying? I said, they're telling you it's going to cost more. it's going to continue when they can. They move it up. There's only 85 million barrels a day, and when you see demand globally go to 87 million, which it did in 2008, when it goes to 87, 85 won't cover 87. So the only way you can kill demand is with price. So price goes up and demand will come down, and that's the way it's going to work when supply is capped at 85 million barrels. Okay, now I think it's clear. I've got a lot of my army out there, and I hope all the rest of you will join me when we get through. I hope I've been that convincing on what I'm talking about. But this is not a problem that an 80-year-old guy should have to have the responsibility to solve. It's really generations, my children and my grandchildren and others to come, that if you don't get it fixed, you are not going to have the same standard of living that we've had in the last 40 years. It isn't going to work that way, because if we don't do anything for the next 10 years than we did in the last 40 years, that let me take you out to 2019, you will be importing 75% of your oil. The security risk will be there if something hadn't happened at that point. But you're going to be paying $200 to $300 a barrel for it. Now, if that happens, let's say we're 2019, we're paying $200 to $300 a barrel for it, and we're importing 75%. One thing we fixed: we do not have to worry about health care or education, because we don't have any money to do it. If we're going to import 75% and pay that price for it, we're a dead duck, is the way it's going to go. Now, solution. The solution is very simple to me. I had meetings with both Obama and McCain before the election. They asked let's sit down. You tell us what you think's going to what's going to happen for energy in the future. Well, I sat down with McCain, and he immediately told me that he was for nuclear, and he didn't think I was. I said, let's get this straight. I'm for anything American. I don't care what it is. I'm against foreign oil. And so it's real clear where I come out. He said, well, I want to do 45 reactors in 30 years. 30 years? My God, John, you and I'll not be here when they open up the last 15 of those reactors. I said, we'll be gone. Well, that's what I'm for. I said, well, you realize that, and he said, I want to use a battery on vehicles. I said, okay, you know a battery will not move an 18-wheeler. And he had the same look on his face that when Obama said, I want to use batteries for vehicles. And I asked, you know it won't move an 18-wheeler. They both went, is that right? I thought, man, you got some good advisors in there to help you with your energy question. Which, listen, when I got to Washington, and I said a while ago they were lying. They aren't lying. They don't understand. They seriously do not understand energy. And it's denial on the importing of the oil. They don't face it. But we stirred it up, if you've noticed. The media talks about it more. Politicians talk about it more. Pelosi says we've got to get off of the imports. It's dangerous for the country. So all of this is coming together to be sure we put the pressure on politicians that are saying we'll be energy independent and not ever make a move to do anything about it.